diabetes, heart problems, high blood pressure, TB, hepatitis, asthma, any past mental health issues?
No.
Doesn't use alcohol, drugs? No. Medication?
This is what awaits anyone who has been arrested and is booked into Seattle's King County jail system. The scene is repeated daily in jails across the United States. All of these people will get a court date. Some will be convicted. Many will do time.
All residents outside, return back to your dorms. Residents outside, return back to your dorms.
And this is where a few of them will do their time. The North Rehabilitation Facility, NRF, part of the King County jail system. But the time these inmates are doing is unlike anything in any other jail in the United States. They are practicing an ancient meditation technique called Vipassana. It is changing their lives, even as it changes NRF itself. Vipassana is a word from the ancient Indian language, Pali. It means to see things as they really are. Vipassana dates back more than 2,500 years, yet its relevance and value to modern society is undiminished. Through its practice, people from all walks of life and backgrounds work to transform their lives. They bring balance and peace into an otherwise tumultuous existence. But Vipassana is not an easy journey or a quick fix. It's not the sort of thing most prisoners would want to take on to pass the time. Yet some choose to.
I think this can have a beneficial effect, if for no other reason than it really is a form of mental boot camp. And if you are of the mind that what offenders need is to learn how to discipline themselves, to learn about themselves, to learn a moral code, and to practice that moral code, and to be willing to endure difficulty and discomfort in order to achieve that. If you're of that belief, this is what you want to do.
NRF is a minimum security facility operated by the King County Health Department under contract with the Department of Adult Detention. Beyond incarceration, NRF seeks to provide inmate treatment with a focus on drug and alcohol abuse.
How many are in jail either directly or indirectly because of alcohol and drug use?
There are also classes on smoking cessation, self-esteem, critical thinking, emotional literacy, high school equivalency and vocational training, even acupuncture and Tai Chi. Inmates here are called residents, and they enjoy many personal privileges not granted in other jail facilities. There are no cells, no walls, no guns, no lockups. Many King County inmates think the time spent here will be easy time, but facility administrator Lucia Major and her staff have something else in mind.
We try to keep every resident here occupied with some meaningful activity. Now, there's always those who can just do the minimum. But after they've been here for a while, we're going to start to pressure them to get involved, either in work and vocational activities or treatment activities or both. And typically they do.
I've participated in family groups and in parenting class, and the NA class, and AA class, and critical thinking, and acupuncture. I almost did almost all of them. And I've already tried to go to treatment 2 times, but, I never completed it. I always left, and now this time, I'm taking more advantage of it and learning a lot more about myself.
It's no secret that the public, and even many professionals, have lost enthusiasm for rehabilitation and treatment programs. Recidivism seems to continue unabated. The revolving door syndrome is discouraging to everyone, staff and resident alike. Yet Lucia and her staff, with the support of King County Health and Corrections officials, continue to institute programs that can help residents turn their lives around.
Attention all residents, need the door monitors.
Dean McGuire is head of security at NERF, a veteran with 20-plus years as a corrections officer. If anyone harbors few illusions about the likelihood of change in this population, it's Dean.
If you want people to change themselves, if you want inmates to stop being inmates and to become productive citizens, I believe that the residents, inmates have to, it's on them. And what we can do is provide a way for them to look at themselves, to look at their cravings, and to try to change what's wrong.
NERF is a direct supervision facility with security personnel right there with the residents to monitor behavior and activity on a continuous basis.
Jones.
Count on everybody coming in through the West Hallway.
Lane Moore has been a staff security officer at NERF for 11 years. She has watched the treatment program evolve at NERF.
I always felt that even though we have a great program and we have Tai Chi and we have anger management and all of these classes, self-esteem, which is all good, I always felt that there was something missing here, which was looking at the spiritual side of a person. And several times I asked a counselor, why do we not have a meditation class here?
When you go outside, are you working outside here?
Lane wasn't the only one asking these questions. Ben Turner is a family nurse practitioner for King County's Corrections and has been working with the inmates at NERF for over 5 years. He is also a longtime practitioner of Vipassana Meditation. It was on his return from a long course in India that he first proposed to Lucia the idea of a Vipassana course at NERF for residents.
This is an amazing facility, and that Lucia herself understands that people can change, understands that's the real reason that they come here. You know, that they don't come here just to be kept away from society and hang out and talk. You know, they come here to change. And so she was very interested in this technique.
He came one day and we had a meeting with he and Rick Crutcher. And so they said, well, now what about this? Would you like to do a meditation course here? And I said, oh, that's nice. Everybody will get relaxed and happy, and that'll be a good thing. And they both kind of laughed at me and said, well, it's a little more complicated than that. And then they started to sort of feed it to me in little bits, you know, little digestible bits. They said, well, it's actually a 10-day course. I said, well, gee, okay, so we're talking about a smaller group. Oh, yes, and it's total silence, and it's 24 hours a day. And I'm thinking, oh, my, well, okay, well, we might be able to set something up, make some accommodation for that. And we'd have to have, of course, the teacher and the program manager and so on, you know, stay there. Now I'm starting to get really concerned for security reasons, and so I thought, well, okay, I said, we can at least have a discussion about it. And then after all that, they said, oh, no, we can't. And I said, well, what do you mean? Well, you have to take the course first, they said. And I said, well, what's it like? And they said, oh, you know, you go to this nice place out in the country. It's far away from everything. It's total silence, you know, et cetera, et cetera. And I thought, well, gee, you know, I haven't had a vacation for a very long time. And wouldn't it be lovely to just sit on my butt for 10 days and, you know, introspect and be peaceful? And gosh, you know, that actually sounds kind of nice. So I said, sure. And after quite a few delays, I actually took the course and learned that it was much more than sitting on my ass for 10 days introspecting, that it was in some ways an ordeal, a very deep and difficult journey. And when I came out of it, I was so grateful. And just coming right out of it, I was meeting already with Rick and Ben about making it happen here.
Typically, retreats are held at one of the more than 45 Vipassana centers worldwide. Of paramount importance during the course is strict silence, called noble silence, when maintained for the purposes of introspection. On a course, any sources of distraction, books, TV, radio, phones, or mail, are all eliminated.
I felt at the time that all the inmates would just drop out, that they would not participate. They would not give up smoking. They would not give up their commissary, their visits, their mail, their television, their telephones, and their talking for 10 days. When I was told that, I said, well, I don't think so. But I said, heck, go ahead, you know.
To maintain noble silence and minimize distractions, prisoners on a course need to be housed separately from other non-course inmates. They require their own dormitory, their own vegetarian diet, even their own exercise area. All of this presented a daunting challenge to the NERF staff. The only possible facility was the then occupied wing of 13 South.
We had to engineer a unit that we typically use for office space and counseling rooms and classrooms and records keeping. We had to turn that into a residence. We had to build a soundproof wall with a door. We had to install hot water heaters for the showers, which had not been operated for probably 40 years. We had to create a meditation hall. We had to vacate office space, so counselors and office staff had to move out of their offices so that they could be converted to dormitories and sleeping areas and server areas. Our head cook had to learn a vegetarian menu. It was very moving to me. Every time Rick or one of the other Vipassana volunteers would say, well, can we do this or can we do it this way? I would say, oh gosh, I don't know. I don't know if staff will go along with that, and probably not. And then staff would surprise me by saying, sure, no problem, no problem. So there was something about this event that I think inspired everybody, and they wanted to see it work.
Okay, guys, line up on the left-hand side of the wall.
As a direct supervision facility, NERF depends on over 20 compulsory head counts a day. In contrast, and potentially conflict, a meditation course relies on minimal distractions and interruptions. How then could a Vipassana course be conducted without compromising security?
We had to somehow integrate security right into the program. And fortunately, Ben Turner, who is jail personnel, was able to be the program manager, and with help from our security managers here, he was able to take on a lot of the responsibility for calling in the head counts, and he could also make sure that he's accustomed to observing behaviors and intervening in a timely way before they become a problem. So it became necessary to have that component. We also needed a lot of cooperation from security because it meant that they would have to also monitor periodically what was going on there, which meant leaving the usual perimeter within which they operate and making a special trip over there and understanding what was going on and being of minimal intrusiveness.
The first Vipassana meditation course offered in a North American prison began on October 28, 1997. By the third day, 5 of the 16 men had dropped out, but the remaining 11 completed the 10-day course with remarkable results.
Everything that I've experienced in this course, in this last 10 days, I know will last me a lifetime.
Their experiences were recorded on a home video camera and subsequently shown to the next group of potential course participants.
There
will be 4 other women coming in who are old students.
At their own request, the next course was arranged for women inmates. Despite their interest, some of the women have strong apprehensions. Their concerns range from the spiritual
because I am concerned about it being outside of the realm of God.
To the mundane.
Do you have to sit still the whole entire time? No, you're sitting in meditation for up to an hour at a time. So when you're actually meditating...
Kathy Henry, a Vipassana assistant teacher, will be the manager of the women's course.
Throw everything away that you read in that book about any religion. Anything you read
The words of
Buddha
Richard
and his
Jimerson,
teachings, throw
an
it out.
ex-resident who took the first course, have a profound effect on the women. Some of them know him from the streets and are struck by the evident changes they see.
My mom went down to take a course. So if my mom went, you know that it's got to have something to it because she works in a Christian church.
Fears about conversion to another religion may persist until one actually takes a 10-day Vipassana course and sees for oneself what it is and what it is not. In Vipassana, the Buddha found a way to alleviate human suffering and bring peace through the practice of self-observation. He encouraged others not to take his word on this or to merely believe, but to undertake the practice and experience the results for themselves.
I don't think that when people really practice and understand Vipassana meditation, that they find a conflict with their beliefs, philosophical or religious. And that's one reason why these courses are 10-day courses, because each day you learn a little bit more and you practice and you understand. And the theory and the practice goes together. So it's not just dealing with abstract concepts. And in fact, people from so many religions, continue to take courses, continue to practice, and don't find a conflict at all.
In the end, 7 women sign up for the 10-day Vipassana course. They have all been in and out of jails, some for most of their adult lives. Their typical crimes are theft, prostitution, shoplifting, drug dealing, and assault. Most of them have an alcohol or drug abuse problem. Most of them have children.
Right before I came in, I was in a really bad way. I was a heroin addict and pretty close to death. It was bad. And I was tired of that, and I kicked, and that was hell. And I knew that if I went back out there that I might not make it, you know, very much longer. So I knew that I had to do something. And that's what brought me to the stages of change. And at first I tried to lie, I tried to kid, you know, because I was afraid. I was afraid to uncover things within myself that I've been running from all my life. But they just kept persevering, and, you know, and finally I just became not submissive, but I surrendered. It was exciting to me to keep finding all these new things about myself. But yet I still had some issues, you know, and I still have some issues that need to be addressed, and they have to be addressed by me and only me. And when I went, I was chosen by the staff to go to the coming out ceremony for the men. And a couple of the men I knew from the streets, and they were what they consider themselves soldiers, you know. And I believe the change that I had seen and, you know, from that moment, I knew that I wanted to do this.
With some infrastructure already in place, it was much easier for inmates, staff, and Vipassana volunteers to prepare for the women's course. As with any detention facility, security is the priority. The Vipassana volunteers serving the course got a crash course themselves in prison policy from the head of security.
These volunteers had very few problems, have caused us very few problems, and as compared to many other folks that have come in the facility, they've been excellent.
The thing that convinced us, or that convinced me, that the people who were volunteering to help run the Vipassana program were okay, was not just the fact that they passed their background checks and that they had a long-standing affiliation with the Vipassana community and were upstanding citizens. It was also their single-minded purpose that they had, that it was clear that they were coming here to teach Vipassana, not to have personal relationships with the residents, not to give or get anything outside of the boundaries of Vipassana.
Everyone who works on a Vipassana course does so out of a sense of service and generosity. As on any course, they are paid nothing for their efforts. This keeps Vipassana free of commercialism and ensures the purity of spirit in which it is offered. In fact, all Vipassana centers worldwide are run on donations and service from students who have already taken a course.
The way that our practice has worked for centuries and continues to is that one way of expressing gratitude for the benefits that we've gained is by helping others, by being able to serve others in a variety of ways. And those ways can be from sweeping the floors to pushing in the food to being the assistant teacher on a course.
The evening before the course begins, the women are brought over to the wing housing the makeshift meditation center. A sense of anticipation radiates among everyone here.
She's been here many, many, many times. She has been arrested for theft and prostitution most of the time. A few small drug things in there. She has absolutely no belief in herself or her abilities to be anything other than she is. It's my hope that she will be able to rise above those beliefs that she has